he suddenly realizes the rain splashing across the glass is pitch black. At first, he assumes it's pollution. Then the sky starts dropping massive hailstones. Some are nearly the size of fists. But the truly horrifying part, inside each icy chunk appears to be a distorted human face trapped beneath the surface. At the exact same time, deep inside a nearby temple, a statue of the goddess of mercy sits silently in prayer, until thick black blood slowly begins flowing from its eyes. Everyone who witnesses it immediately feels dread crawling through their body, because in local folklore, a sacred statue crying blood is considered a warning of catastrophic disaster. And nobody realizes all of this began because workers in a small mountain village recently uncovered something buried underground during road construction, a Buddha head. But this isn't an ordinary relic. The moment people known as the Ghost Buddha, a cursed artifact dating back more than 600 years. The Buddha's uncovered eyes suffers horrifying changes afterward. Unfortunately, the village chief couldn't care less about ancient warnings. In his mind, the relic is a golden opportunity. None of them understand is that every layer of cloth was actually another seal. And the second the final strip covering the eyes is cut away, a disaster quietly begins. A remote village called Jinyang County, where officials become obsessed with developing the area into a tourist destination. During construction work, they uncover the ancient Buddha head buried deep beneath the soil. Following the chief's orders, one of the workers slices through the cloth wrapped around its eyes. The cursed symbols covering the fabric instantly crumble apart like dried leaves. Without thinking much about it, the worker grabs a hose and begins washing dirt from the statue, while water-side tavern to rest. At first, everything seems normal, but the moment he sits down, his eyes begin burning intensely. They feel painfully dry, like someone rubbed sand directly into them. The irritation becomes so unbearable that he keeps one. Terrifies him instantly. The father begins demanding money for medical treatment, speaking exactly the way he used to before his death. Panicking, the driver bolts out of the bathroom. Back at the temple, one of the monks witnesses the sacred statue continuing to cry thick black blood. Realizing something catastrophic has begun, he immediately investigates and learns villagers recently unearthed the mysterious Buddha head during road construction. The monk quickly travels with his younger disciple to visit a respected researcher specializing in ancient Buddhist artifacts. Let's call him Professor Han. The monks explain that the relic is believed to be a ghost Buddha, a cursed object originally created to imprison a powerful evil spirit. According to legend, if the artifact ever returns to the world, disaster follows soon after. They show Han photographs of the cloth strips wrapped around the Buddha's one. Let's call her Dr. Mina Lee. She's also an expert in ancient Buddhist relics, especially when it comes to translating symbolic texts and religious imagery. But their relationship has been broken for years. After the tragic death of their daughter, the couple separated emotionally and physically. Mina now lives alone in the countryside, while Han remains buried in work. Realizing he can't solve the mystery without her help, Han finally sends her the photos and research notes by email. Miles away, in her quiet rural home, Mina opens the message. When Dr. Mina opens the email, the first thing she strange symbols from the cloth onto paper and slowly translates one of the characters aloud, heart. But after that, she suddenly stops. The grief of losing her daughters still hangs over her constantly, and the memory becomes suffered losses. But local officials promise government compensation, since the damage qualifies as a natural disaster. Mina originally had no intention of visiting the village. Quickly enters the exhibition hall, and there it is. The exact same Buddha head from the images. Only now, the cloth sealing its eyes has been completely removed. The cursed strips themselves are displayed separately, inside another glass case nearby. Mina stares at the Buddha for a long moment, and slowly, a disturbing feeling creeps over her. The statue's expression doesn't feel compassionate or merciful, the way traditional Buddhist figures usually do. Instead, its eyes seem cold, judgmental, almost hateful. At the same time, Professor Han continues investigating the symbols. Although he still can't fully decode the writing, he becomes certain the markings were not simple prayers or decoration. They were seals. Multiple layers of spiritual barriers designed to imprison something dangerous. The monk who brought him the case immediately suspects the ghost Buddha uses eye contact to manipulate human minds. A younger monk nervously suggests they warn the villagers at once. But the older monk only sighs bitterly. If these people listen to warnings, he says, they never would have dug the Buddha up in the first place. Realizing things are getting worse, the monks decide they need to personally investigate the village themselves. But right before leaving, the temple abbot suddenly summons the older monk to his office. When he enters, he finds the abbot calmly drinking coffee while reading a business strategy book about temple management and tourism operations. The conversation quickly turns disturbing. Instead of supporting the investigation, the abbot orders him to stop looking into the ghost Buddha entirely. The monk is stunned. If anyone should understand how dangerous the relic is, it should be the abbot himself. But then the truth comes out. Government officials have already contacted the temple directly. The exhibition has become politically important, and authorities refuse to shut it down no matter the risk. The abbot warns the monk not to embarrass the temple or create public panic. He even assigns him unrelated duties specifically to stop him from traveling to the village. Meanwhile, the local government begins hosting an official presentation about the Buddha relic. Villagers gather inside the exhibition hall, discussing the bizarre black rain from the previous night, while officials attempt to reassure everyone. That's when Mina suddenly notices someone sitting motionless in the crowd. At first, she doesn't believe her eyes. Then her entire body goes cold. The man sitting there looks exactly like the delivery driver responsible for her daughter's death. The same man who destroyed her family. Panicking, Mina rushes outside and immediately calls Han. But Han insists it's impossible. The man received a life sentence in prison years ago. While still speaking on the phone, Han suddenly feels like someone is standing nearby watching him. He quickly opens his office door, but nobody is there. Uneasy, he searches the hallway, only to realize the strange man Mina described has completely disappeared from the exhibition hall too, which raises a terrifying possibility. Was it ever real at all? Or are the hallucinations spreading to more people now? Just then, the mayor arrives at the event. Villagers crowd around him demanding answers about compensation for their damaged crops. Nobody notices the man standing quietly in the distance holding a sickle. Exactly like the possessed drivers earlier. Suddenly, the man with the sickle lets out a horrifying scream. "You filthy bastards!" A nearby villager who recognizes him cautiously walks over to ask what's wrong. But in the next second, the sickle swings through the air. The villager's throat is sliced open instantly. Blood sprays across the crowd, and panic erupts. Everyone inside the exhibition hall starts screaming and running for their lives. At that exact moment, Mina sees the delivery driver again. The same man responsible for her daughter's death. His eyes look distant and unnatural. But then, the image suddenly shifts. The delivery driver transforms into the sickle killer standing in the chaos. That's when Mina finally understands. These people are hallucinating, and the disaster has truly begun. By the time villagers escape outside, the entire town has already descended into madness. Cars crash wildly through the streets. People leap from rooftops without hesitation. Drivers ram pedestrians like they can't even recognize reality anymore. Every single infected person has one thing in common. They all looked directly into the Buddha's eyes. Now they behave like rabid animals. Violent, paranoid, bloodthirsty. To them, everyone around them appears as horrifying illusions or enemies. One infected woman grabs a young man while screaming, "I'm your real wife." Meanwhile, Mina stands frozen in terror, completely overwhelmed by the nightmare unfolding around her. And since the gang leader arrived with several tough-looking followers, nobody inside dares challenge him. Within minutes, he basically takes control of the entire shelter. Even the mayor can only obey quietly now. Together, they serve Buddha. Earlier in the story, she stared directly into the Buddha's eyes for quite a long time. The only reason she hasn't completely lost control like the other couple. But at that exact moment, Mina suddenly collapses to the floor. The entire room goes silent. The furiously shouts, "Someone's about to murder a person, and nobody's stopping it." But instead of feeling ashamed, the gang leader just smiles coldly. He steps forward and effortlessly beats the student down before casually saying, "If any soldiers stop him at the barricades." Standing nearby is a female police officer, who's also being denied entry. With no other choice, Han tries calling Mina. Standoff, the gang leader's sudden old mountain path that can bypass the military blockade. For the sake of their loved ones, she and Professor Han decide to work together and sneak into the quarantined village themselves. Back inside the exhibition hall, the mayor continues trying to calm everyone down. touching the rain, gets restrained like criminals, including Mina. The gang leader orders one of his followers to guard them carefully. If any of them starts acting strange, he says coldly, kill them immediately. The tied-up survivors desperately insist they're innocent. To prove something like that, there's no coming back. Today it's the infected outside. Tomorrow it could become anyone people fear. So he says nothing. But at that exact moment, Mina's eyes slowly begin turning white. Layer by layer, the pale color spreads across her pupils, like death swallowing the last trace of humanity in